Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into something that affects all of us in ways we might not even realize. Habits. Specifically, we're going to talk about 10 habits that are quietly, slowly making you weaker. Not just physically weaker, but mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually weaker. These are things we do every day, often without a second thought. And over time, they chip away at our strength, our resilience, and our potential. This isn't about shaming anyone or pointing fingers. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing the patterns in our lives that might be holding us back and figuring out how to break free from them. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's unpack these habits together. By the end of this, you'll have a clear picture of what might be draining you and some practical ways to turn things around. Let's start with the first habit, and this one's a biggie because it's so common: neglecting sleep. We live in a world that glorifies hustle, where staying up late to finish work or binge watch a show is almost a badge of honor. But here's the truth. When you consistently cut corners on sleep, you're not just making yourself tired, you're weakening your entire system. Your body repairs itself during sleep. Your brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, and clears out toxins. Skimp on that, and you're left with a foggy mind, a weaker immune system, and emotions that feel like they're on a roller coaster. Think about it. How many times have you snapped at someone or felt overwhelmed because you were running on 5 hours of sleep? It's not a coincidence. Studies show that adults need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, yet so many of us are lucky if we get 6. Over time, this sleep debt builds up, and it's like trying to run a marathon with a sprained ankle. You might keep going for a while, but eventually something's going to give. The fix here isn't complicated, but it takes discipline. Set a bedtime and stick to it. Create a wind-down routine. No screens, no caffeine late at night. Your body and mind will thank you, and you'll start to feel stronger almost immediately. Now let's talk about something else that sneaks up on us: poor nutrition. This isn't about dieting or chasing some perfect body. It's about what you're putting into your system every single day. Food is fuel, and if you're constantly running on empty calories, think processed snacks, sugary drinks, or fast food, you're starving your body of what it needs to thrive. It's like trying to power a car with syrup instead of gasoline. Sure, you might get a quick burst of energy, but it's not sustainable. Over time, a diet heavy in junk food and light on nutrients weakens your muscles, your bones, your immune system, even your mental clarity. You might not notice it right away, but those headaches, that sluggish feeling, that inability to focus, they're often tied to what you're eating. The scary part is how easy it is to fall into this trap. Life's busy, and grabbing a bag of chips or a soda is quicker than cooking a meal. But every time you make that choice, you're choosing short-term convenience over long-term strength. The good news is, you don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Start small. Swap out one processed snack for a piece of fruit or some nuts. Drink water instead of soda. These little shifts add up, and over time they rebuild the foundation of your strength. Another habit that's quietly draining us is something we all do without thinking: sitting too much. This one's tough because modern life practically demands it. Whether you're at a desk, in a car, or on the couch, most of us spend hours every day in a chair. The problem is, our bodies weren't designed for this. Prolonged sitting weakens your muscles, especially in your core and legs. It messes with your posture, tightens your hips, and even slows your circulation. There's a reason why people talk about sitting is the new smoking. Studies link it to everything from back pain to heart disease. But it's not just your physical body that suffers. Sitting for long stretches can make you feel mentally sluggish too. Your brain needs movement to stay sharp. It's why you often get your best ideas when you're out for a walk. The kicker is that even if you hit the gym for an hour a day, it doesn't fully undo the damage of sitting for 8 or 10 hours. So, what can you do? Get intentional about moving more. Stand up every hour, even if it's just to stretch for a minute. Take a walk during lunch. If you can, invest in a standing desk. These aren't massive changes, but they keep your body engaged and your energy flowing. Let's shift gears now and talk about something less tangible but just as powerful: negative self-talk. This is one of those habits that creeps into your mind so subtly you might not even notice it. It's that voice that says, "You're not good enough," or "Why even try? You'll fail anyway." We all have moments of doubt. But when negative self-talk becomes a habit, it's like carrying around a weight that drags you down. It weakens your confidence, your motivation, and your ability to take risks. Think about how it feels when you're constantly criticizing yourself. You're less likely to go after that promotion, try that new hobby, or even stand up for yourself. Over time, this erodes your sense of who you are. The tricky part is that negative self-talk often feels true because it's coming from you. But feelings aren't facts. The way out is to catch yourself in the act. When you hear that critical voice, pause and ask, would I say this to a friend? Chances are you wouldn't. Start replacing those thoughts with something kinder, even if it feels forced at first. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, try, I'm still learning and that's okay. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about giving yourself the same grace you'd give someone else. That shift builds mental strength, and it's a game changer. Another habit that's sapping your strength is one we're all guilty of, over-relying on technology. Don't get me wrong, tech is amazing. It keeps us connected, informed, and entertained. But when you're scrolling through social media for hours, checking notifications every 5 minutes, or using your phone as a crutch to avoid boredom, it's taking more than it's giving. This habit weakens your attention span, your creativity, and your ability to be present. It's not just about wasted time either. Studies show that excessive screen time, especially on social media, can increase anxiety and lower self-esteem. You're comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel, and that's a losing game. Plus, the constant dopamine hits from likes and notifications make it harder to focus on anything that requires real effort. The result? You feel mentally weaker, scattered, and less capable of tackling big challenges. Breaking this habit doesn't mean ditching your phone entirely. It's about setting boundaries. Try turning off non-essential notifications. Set specific times to check your apps instead of doing it mindlessly. Use that freed-up time to read, think, or just sit with your own thoughts. It's uncomfortable at first, but it's like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you get. Let's talk about another sneaky habit: avoiding discomfort. This one's tricky because it feels so natural to seek comfort. Who doesn't want to feel good? But when you make a habit of dodging anything that's hard, whether it's a tough conversation, a challenging workout, or a new skill, you're actually making yourself weaker. Growth happens in discomfort. Your muscles get stronger when they're pushed. Your mind gets sharper when it's challenged. If you're always choosing the path of least resistance, you're missing out on opportunities to build resilience. Think about the last time you avoided something because it felt too hard. Maybe you didn't speak up in a meeting because you were afraid of sounding dumb, or you skipped the gym because you weren't feeling it. Those choices might feel good in the moment, but over time, they shrink your confidence and your capacity. The antidote is to lean into discomfort, just a little bit at a time. Start small, take a cold shower, try a new hobby, or have that awkward conversation you've been putting off. Each time you do, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you think. That's how you build real, lasting strength. Now let's touch on something that's a bit heavier: holding on to grudges. This habit might not seem like it's making you weak, but it's like carrying a backpack full of rocks. When you hold on to anger or resentment, you're not just hurting the other person, you're hurting yourself. It takes energy to stay mad, to replay old arguments in your head, to keep that bitterness alive. That's energy you could be using to move forward, to create, to connect. Emotionally, grudges weaken you by keeping you stuck in the past. They make it harder to trust, to open up, to find peace. Physically, the stress of holding on to anger can raise your blood pressure, mess with your sleep, and even weaken your immune system. Letting go doesn't mean excusing what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It means choosing to free yourself from the weight. Start by acknowledging how you feel. Write it down, talk to someone you trust. Then ask yourself, is this worth my energy? More often than not, the answer is no. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, and it's one of the most powerful ways to reclaim your strength. Another habit that's quietly undermining us is procrastination. We've all been there, putting off a task because it feels overwhelming, boring, or just not urgent. But procrastination isn't just about delaying work. It's about delaying your own progress. Every time you push something off, you're adding to a mental pile of things I didn't do. That pile creates stress, guilt, and a sense of being out of control. Over time, it chips away at your confidence and your ability to trust yourself. You start to feel weaker because you're not following through on your own goals. The irony is that procrastination often comes from wanting to do things perfectly. You wait for the right moment that never comes. But perfection is a myth. The real strength lies in starting, even when it's messy. One way to break this habit is to use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. For bigger tasks, break them into tiny steps and tackle just one. Momentum builds from action, not from waiting. Each time you follow through, you're reinforcing your own strength and proving you're capable of more than you thought. Let's move on to another habit that's draining us: people-pleasing. This one's tough because it often comes from a good place, wanting to be kind, helpful, or liked. But when you make a habit of saying yes to everyone else's needs at the expense of your own, you're weakening yourself. You're giving away your time, your energy, and sometimes even your values. Think about how it feels when you agree to something you don't want to do. There's that knot in your stomach, that quiet resentment. Over time, people-pleasing erodes your sense of self. You start to lose sight of what you want because you're so focused on keeping others happy. It's exhausting, and it leaves you emotionally fragile. The way out is to practice setting boundaries, even if it feels awkward at first. Start with small things. Say no to an invitation you don't have time for, or be honest when something bothers you. It's not about being selfish. It's about respecting yourself enough to prioritize your own strength. When you do, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel lighter, more in control, and more capable of showing up as your best self. Finally, let's talk about the habit of ignoring your emotions. This one's especially common for those of us who pride ourselves on being strong or together. You push through stress, sadness, or anger because you don't want to seem weak. But bottling up your feelings doesn't make you stronger, it makes you brittle. Emotions are like water. If you keep them locked up, the pressure builds until something breaks. That could mean burnout, anxiety, or even physical health problems. When you ignore your emotions, you're also missing out on valuable signals about what's going on in your life. Sadness might be telling you something needs to change. Anger might be pointing to a boundary that's been crossed. By dismissing those signals, you're weakening your ability to navigate the world effectively. The alternative is to get curious about what you're feeling. Name your emotions without judging them. Say, "I'm feeling overwhelmed," or "I'm really hurt by this." From there, you can decide what to do, whether it's talking to someone, taking a break, or making a change. Processing your emotions doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And that humanity is the root of real strength. So there you have it. 10 habits that are quietly making you weaker. Neglecting sleep, poor nutrition, sitting too much, negative self-talk, over-relying on technology, avoiding discomfort, holding grudges, procrastination, people-pleasing, and ignoring your emotions. These aren't just random behaviors. They're patterns that shape how you feel, how you think, and how you show up in the world. The good news is, habits can be changed. You don't have to tackle all of these at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Pick one that resonates with you and start small. Maybe it's going to bed 15 minutes earlier, or swapping one soda for water, or saying no to something that doesn't serve you. Every tiny step you take is a vote for your own strength. Over time, those steps add up, and you'll look back and see how far you've come. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that this isn't about perfection. None of us are immune to these habits, and slipping up doesn't mean you failed. It's about progress, about choosing to show up for yourself a little more each day. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one choice at a time. So take a moment to reflect. Which of these habits feels most familiar to you? What's one thing you can do today to start breaking that cycle? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share what's resonating with you, or any tips you found helpful for building strength in your own life. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. We're all about practical ways to live better, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and take care of yourself. You've got this.